Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Truth or Demons podcast. I'm your host, Stevie, and today is another bonus episode. That interview I promised you, in fact. I'm so excited to share this one with you all. As you know, if you listened to Annabelle Part 2, I recently had a little chat with another content creator, and it was so fun. The YouTuber known as SideEye Guy recently covered a story on some YouTube ghost hunters that got busted doing some not-so-great things. A friend of mine shared this video with me, and I instantly became obsessed with the rest of SideEye Guy's content and had to invite him on the show. And I'm so pleased to report he agreed, and we had a fantastic conversation about the paranormal, the silliness within current paranormal groups, and a little chat on Annabelle and the Warrens sprinkled in. But before I let you all listen, I'd like to again apologize for my nervous interrupting. I get so excited about what people say sometimes, and my ability to relate to what they've said, that I blurt out words before I can stop myself. So listeners, and SideEye Guy, please forgive me for my excited interrupting throughout the interview. Now, please enjoy. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you very much for coming on my show. I'm really excited to talk to you about the nonsense of the paranormal world. And so would you please share with my listeners what you do and a little bit about your channel?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I go by the SideEye Guy on YouTube, and I am a paranormal reaction / debunking channel.
I love it. I love your channel. So ever since I got shown it a couple weeks ago, I've just been hooked.
Oh, good. Thank you.
So after you found out that's how I found you, was through your recent video about Sam, Colby, and Seth. I recently watched another video with Seth. He was in the Warrens Museum, and he was filming with Annabelle and Tony, and he kept trying to sneak and touch Annabelle and kept getting scolded by Tony. I would really love to hear your take on that and on Annabelle and Tony.
Right. So I haven't seen that video where Seth is doing that. It does might sound strange, but I kind of don't blame Seth for that, because I've always sort of said, like, one of my bucket list things to do is to grab hold of that doll and drop kick it just to see what happens.
That's so
I don't.
funny.
Yeah, I don't buy it at all. If you kind of do a deep dive into the Annabelle story, there's absolutely no evidence to. We've only got Ed and Lorraine Warren's story to go by that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing on the record about I believe they were supposed to be nurses that had the doll originally. They had a psychic that came in that said, oh, there was a little girl named Annabelle that died, and his spirit is now in the doll. There's no psychic that's ever come forward to claim that was them. There's literally, of all the people in the story, nobody has ever come forward and said that was them.
Exactly. That's been one of my biggest points too. And it's not out yet because I just finished recording and got it back from editing, but I actually did a part 2. I did a part 1 originally a few months ago on Annabelle, and then I've just done a part 2 that I'll be releasing right before I release our interview. And
Awesome.
my friends and I, some friends that have joined on as my research team, have uncovered some really crazy stuff the last couple weeks. We actually found a newspaper article with the original Annabelle owners' names, their real names, and to make sure the article is legitimate, I looked up the author and I found her, and she agreed to an interview, so I interviewed her.
Oh,
it was incredible. It was really interesting. And then
I'm
after
interested in hearing all that.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you the interview too, so you can listen to it.
Please do, yeah.
But she was really great to talk to, and it was really great to confirm that the article did exist in a legit newspaper, because I was convinced it was in like a tabloid or something. But after I talked to her, I was given an anonymous tip for one of the players' names, her real name, because I looked up the names and I found 2 people, but unfortunately they had passed. But the third one, I couldn't find her anywhere, and it turns out it's because she has a changed name now, just her last name. But as soon as I was told that, I found her instantly. And to make it even stranger, I reached out to her on Facebook. I sent her a message. And then the next day, I woke up to being tagged in a post someone had made mocking Annabelle. And she is commenting and saying, "That's my doll." And then I thought someone may have been messing with me and like faked the profile, but she commented that before I found her. And her page goes back to 2010 with like many, many photos of her. And it looks like the woman in the article.
Oh.
And I really wanted to know like
How
how
can
you
people
felt
tell
about
it's
that.
their doll though? Because well, how can they tell it's their doll? Because it just looks like any other Raggedy Ann doll, which they
Well,
mass produced.
yeah, they were commenting someone had made a video mocking Annabelle. It was Annabelle in her case,
Yeah.
and it's Macaulay Culkin screaming, "I'm not afraid anymore," and it's really funny. But the fact that
Okay.
that's the video she decided to comment on, like, I really feel like I'm being messed
Oh, I
with
see.
somehow.
Hmm.
It doesn't make any sense, and I just thought it was so interesting and couldn't wait to share it with you.
Yeah, so sorry. Someone called you, said that's my doll, as in the Annabelle doll that's now in the Warrens Museum.
So this woman that we found that has the same name and looks like the woman in the original article, she's the
Yes.
one who commented that.
Okay.
And it's really bizarre. And she never did reply to my email or my message on Facebook, but a friend of mine is in a group she was in, turns out, and he commented on one of her posts and said, "Hey, I sent you a request just so you know, like I'd like to talk to you." And he didn't specify what over. It was on a post about food. And we just wanted to get her attention. And she replied, "Yeah, I saw your message, but I don't think I'll reply. I don't like to talk about her," and put her in quotations.
The question I just got with that is like, unless there's some distinguishing features on the Annabelle doll, how could anyone tell that that a doll that was so long ago, we're talking about, I'm sure that the photograph is saying that they got a photograph of them with Annabelle, is quite an old photograph now. How would you
Yes.
know that's the same doll? Like
Exactly, yeah.
when I look at that Annabelle doll, I just see it no different to any other Raggedy Ann doll. There's no rips, there's no marks, there's no one's put their name on it or anything like that I can see. But to be fair, we don't know what's written on the back of the doll or anything like that. We only really see what's from the front as you face the case.
Yes.
I
And
don't know.
there's been
I mean, there's just a lot of questions that need to be answered there.
agreed. And my mind has been blown. And I thought I was on the verge of debunking her. And then all of this happened. So I was pretty frustrated.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, if they're going to just leave that there and not follow it up, I wouldn't. Personally, I'm also sure. I mean, you can't like disregard it completely, but a
Right,
lot of that
right.
doesn't add up to me. A lot of that
Yeah.
doesn't add.
And it's really
I don't know
confusing.
how anyone can say that is my doll, because like that would have been in the 70s, right?
Right. And why now, 50 years later, and never before?
And how would you even remember? Correct. And then how would you even remember? Oh, that's my doll from my childhood. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
If the Annabelle doll had like a giant scar across its face, a rip across its face, or something like that, then yeah, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's my doll because I ripped it like that as a kid, and there's photos of me with it. You know what I mean? But it isn't. It's just a regular Raggedy Ann doll.
right, right. And so, on top of that, the comments were deleted on the Raggedy Ann doll
Mm-hmm.
post. Somebody deleted them.
I wouldn't take too much. I mean, again, it seems like you've already done your due diligence of following it up. I don't know how
Mhm.
much further you can go with that if they're not willing to, if they're just going to dangle a carrot in front of you and they're not go any further with that. I don't know. It
Yeah,
doesn't add up to me.
agreed. And we're trying to keep up with it and make sure, like, if anything else comes up, we follow up. But as of now, that's it. That's all we got.
Hmm.
But I thought it was
Yeah.
interesting, and I wanted to share with you.
No. Yeah. I do find it interesting. Like when if you've got previous videos on this, I'd like to see them and anything else coming up, because I find the whole thing with the whole thing of Annabelle and the Warrens and all that very, very interesting. But if anyone who knows my channel, it probably wouldn't surprise you that I'm very, very skeptical on the Warrens in general. There's a
Yes.
lot of damning history and stories going around about,
Yes.
particularly Ed, or Lorraine just as much, but particularly Ed as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, I'm sure you probably know this as well. There's an episode of the Twilight Zone which is eerily similar to the Annabelle story.
Yes, I do
So
know about
back in
that.
this, I
And
think it's in the 60s it first came out as like a Twilight Zone
yes,
episode, and like even the name of the mother's even named Annabelle.
yes, and I
And
pointed that out, and
it's a
that shocks
yeah,
people.
yeah. It's I mean you can go and watch it on YouTube. It's a good episode. I love the Twilight Zone. And
Yes, I watched
it's a bit
it.
it's great. It's like Child's Play. It's like it probably would have heavily influenced Child's Play as well. The whole Chucky doll, but it's a
Yes,
doll that's a children's this child's doll, and this doll gets very possessive of the child and goes around trying to kill people. And it's the whole story. It's all very very similar to what the Warrens sort of conjured up. No
yes,
pun
I
intended.
agree completely. Annabelle is one of it's like I cover all the Warrens cases. That's what my show is about, and I try to debunk what I can and point out any facts that are available. And with Annabelle, that's one I definitely do not believe in. And I made it a little bit of a mission because I was contacted by one of the members of Nesper because they were kind of mad about what I was doing. And
Okay,
they brought up
means you're
one
doing
of
something right.
the, yeah. So they brought up one of the stories that is like going around. That's one of the so-called pieces of evidence of Annabelle's legitimacy. And it's the motorcycle accident. Do you know about that?
Yes. I've actually, you please go ahead. But yeah, I've heard about this motorcycle
Okay, so this
accident.
man, yes, exactly. He calls me to be because I've had a couple guests that ruffled the feathers of the Nesper crew a little bit. And so he calls me to tell me some things. And one of the things he wants to tell me is about how he witnessed this motorcycle accident when he was 8 years old in 1980.
Hmm.
So I don't believe him at all. Like just the way he's talking to me, it's really hard to take him seriously. And it just feels like I'm being lied to. Like this is a big tall tale
Yeah.
that and it sounds rehearsed. And I found out later that he has told it the exact way he told it to me, to many other people, many other shows. And so he is very adamant that the motorcycle was coming down Route 25 in Monroe, Connecticut, down towards Bridgeport, Connecticut. And he says that the accident happened where Route 25 meets Route 8. Well, I found out, I actually was in a little Facebook group from people of people in Monroe, Connecticut from the 70s and 80s. It was like a nostalgia group and they like reminisce about things. And so I asked
Hmm.
if anybody remembered this accident, and I put the location that he says where it happened. And someone commented and said that road did not exist in 1980.
There you go.
So yeah, we did some research. We
That's a
found
pretty good
the
debunk.
construction records, and I'm very excited that we debunked that one.
Yeah. And then it just gets to a point where there's so many of these inconsistencies and falsehoods littered throughout the Warrens' history, really. That
Yes.
I've got a sort of saying that if there's just one turd in a swimming pool, you don't jump in it. And I've got that kind of like thing with when it comes to Warrens. I'm like, there's multiple turds in their swimming pool. I'm not going to jump in it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree completely. And when I started this, I was really one of those, I really wanted to believe in some stuff. I would like take at face value and be like, oh, wow, that's incredible, instead of thinking more along the skeptical side. But the more I do this and the deeper I get, the less I can believe. And it's really helping filter out the nonsense. And I'm much better at looking at something with a skeptical eye and understanding what's happening versus being taken, a fool by some trick of a camera or something.
Absolutely, and even like the apple hasn't really fallen too far with the tree as far as Tony goes as well. Like I think that's all
Agreed.
quite fascinating. It's funny how you don't hear much from the Warren's daughter, but
Mhm.
Tony is so like he's so aggressively um forthright with the claims on this. And the thing that
Yes.
I just can't get my head around with Tony is like, he's like Annabelle's dangerous, most dangerous doll in the world. Like, oh, it's a demon in that doll, etc., etc. We don't let her out the case unless it's absolutely necessary. He took it to Vegas.
Yeah,
He was
exactly. On
paid
a plane
money
full
to
of
take it to
people.
Vegas plane full of people.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
if that doll had anything, that plane would have plummeted. Surely, like something would have
Agreed.
happened. Like, if you're
Yes.
like, it's absolute nonsense. It
Yes, it really
really
is.
is.
Hmm.
It's so obviously nonsense, but so many people believe it.
They really do. And that's one of the
I think
reasons I
Hollywood's a
started.
big part of it. Yeah,
Yes,
Hollywood's a
yes.
big part of that.
Yeah, and that's one of the main reasons I started doing this was because I'm one of those people who wants to believe so bad, but I also hate the whole like trying to trick people just to get a view. I'm not about that, and it felt like
Hmm.
this Conjuring movie comes out and the whole world is in an uproar because oh my god, this happened. And I'm like, no, it
Yeah,
didn't.
no, it really didn't. And don't even get started. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually like those movies. Well, the first
I
two.
do, yes.
I actually think they're good movies. Maybe not
Hmm.
so much the third one. The third one, even by Conjuring standards, got a bit silly.
It
But
did, I agree.
but the 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 first one, the problem you got in particular with the first one, I'm not sure if you're aware about the history of Bathsheba Sherman with the first Conjuring movie, but so in the movie, the plot is that Bathsheba Sherman. It's gonna be tricky
Hmm.
for me to say. She was a witch, and
Hmm.
I believe is that she killed her child as a sacrifice to the devil or a demon or something like that. And now she is now the haunting in that house. And
Yes.
that story, which is nothing more than a Hollywood story. It's writers in a writing room came up with that. It's
Hmm.
no truth in it whatsoever. And every single YouTuber that now goes to the Conjuring house runs with that exact story to the point now where
Yes.
she was a real woman. She
Hmm.
lived around that area. There is a grave. She has a grave, and the grave has been desecrated. Like her headstone's been broken off
Yes,
because
I
so
was
many
very
people
upset
believe
about
she's a
that.
child killer. And it's
Yep.
like this
Yep.
is when I often with my channel I get people coming to me and sort of saying, "Oh, what's the harm in it?" All the rest of it. Well, that's what there's many real negative implications that happen with when you start faking this stuff. But that is one of them. Is
Yes.
how, and you might make the argument, oh, when you're dead, who cares, kind of thing. But I tell you what, if I found out, if I could have a crystal ball and I could find out, oh, in 100, 200 years, everyone's going to remember me as someone who killed my child, I'd be livid. Who
Right.
wouldn't be?
Yeah. Yeah. That's terrible to be remembered that way,
It's one of the
especially when it's
worst
not
things
true.
you can, yeah, it's one of the worst things you can call someone. And, it would be fine, of course, if you're talking about a completely fictitious person, but you're not.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, that really upset me. I did a whole little segment in my episode on the farm, the Conjuring farm, because I didn't call it the Conjuring. The name kind of bugs me, but I talked about that and how upsetting it was for like such a time when like because there I guess there was some sort of record. I was told recently that some of these records have been faked and they're not real, but I read that there might have been a record that she was on trial for something and that got misconstrued and turned into the whole she's a witch and killed her baby thing. And it's
Mm.
like they just twisted any kind of real history they could find and made this story out of it.
Yeah, like I say, it it's quite worrying when that can happen. Like when you could, there's no reason to bring her name into it as well if you're making a movie. It's like
Agreed.
the problem is like when they cut but they want that title that little sentence at the beginning. This is based on real events,
Hmm.
and I'm sure as you know, the real event is the Perrin. Is that the name of the family?
Yes.
Yeah, the father punched Ed in the face and threw him out of the house.
Yes.
That wouldn't make such a great movie, but
I agree.
that pretty much what they mean by based on a real event is that literally the Warrens went to this house and that was it. Like they visited
Yep.
the house. It goes like the Enfield case is even worse because according to I think Leon Playview is the name of the lead investigator of the Enfield case. They said the
Oh
Warrens
yeah.
were there for 3 hours and then they were
Yeah,
told to
and there
leave.
was yeah, it was Guy Lion Playfair and Morris Gross.
Guideline, that's at Playfair. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and then so I did some research on this because this one actually bugged me a lot because it really bothered me that the real women
were saying in like the extras of the film that like, yeah, the Warrens saved my life and we would, we've been lost without them. And like that stuff really got on my nerves because I knew the history of Maurice and Guyline Playfair. And so when I looked into that, my goal was to prove that they actually did not go, or at least, didn't stay. And I did find Ed even wrote in his own book, he was only there for a couple hours.
Yeah, they exactly. They were, and then also allegedly, you should say, is that Ed said to them that you're on a gold mine.
Really?
He said that you can make yeah. Apparently, like he said that. I mean, it's all alleged, but like Playfair said that, like allegedly that Ed said you're sitting on a gold mine here.
Wow, yeah, I heard a rumor that he offered Guy money if he'd participate with him. Yeah, that was crazy.
There's a lot of very dodgy stuff about a lot of people who seem to like have their eyes open with the Warrens, but still have one foot, were wanting to believe and sort of say that in the early stages with the Warrens they might have been more legit, and then with the money and the fame they just started faking stuff because they want to, because you got to keep going bigger and bigger. I mean, there may be some truth that it was a bit more legit in the early
I think
stages.
they had a really
know.
intense
Maybe.
interest. Yeah, there was an intense interest versus like they weren't as aware when they started how they could go with it, but it was quickly like I feel like Ed really and I feel like Ed put a lot of effort into figuring out how he could make something of it. Because I read one of the first times they experienced a haunted location was at in Henniker, where they went to the Ocean-born Mary house, and Lorraine claims she had an out-of-body experience. Ed said, it was really eerie feeling, and they didn't say a whole lot about it, but like in the 60s, the guy who owned it, when he passed away, he admitted he faked it all. So I feel like they may have got some like ideas from him.
Yeah. There's just the more you kind of like, the deeper you dig, the more and more turds end up in that swimming pool.
Yes, it's crazy. And every time I find something new, I get so excited. It's really silly. Okay, so let me see if I had any other questions for you. So yeah, I want to know how you feel about, okay, so recently I had a discussion with someone on my podcast. They were telling me about how when they were around the Warrens back in the day and stuff, and they spent a lot of time in the museum, that they actually realized that some of the things they were seeing in the museum, they'd seen in a local thrift store. And they felt like the Warrens were just buying up every random obscure thing they could find and slapping a story on it. So how do you feel about the Warrens Museum?
Oh, well, if you see the actual museum itself, it is just littered with artifacts. And if you think about every single one of those artifacts has to have a backstory to it, has to have an original owner, has to have a claim, has to have something. Something must, if you're each and every single one of those items, something must have happened in order, if we're talking this being legit, in order for someone to make the effort to call the Warrens to say, I don't know what to do with this, or I don't know what's going on here, help me. Rather than I would imagine put it this way, if I was going around my day-to-day business and I realized like a pot plant might be the cause of some issues that are going on in my house, I wouldn't think to call some demonologist or a psychic about it. I just throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
That's the thing I don't quite understand. Like, it might sound simple, but it really is like just defies logic that, and you could make the argument, I suppose, that, they don't want it out there because it's dangerous. I don't think most people think that way. I think most people just think, what's the easiest solution to make this stop? I'm going to throw it in the bin, and then it's in a trash heap.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. When you throw it in a bin, it doesn't usually end up in someone else's house. It usually goes to a tip.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. It's gone forever. It's like it's lost in a tip. Those demons can haunt a rubbish tip as much as they like. Like it's like basic things like that. And like I say, when you look at that museum, it is full of junk. It's full. let's just call it, let's be kind and call it artifacts. It's full of them, like hundreds and hundreds.
Yes.
And you would be like, the logical explanation is that means there's hundreds and hundreds of people that have called on the warrant. Where are they?
Yeah, I wonder that too. And I recently was told that every now and then they would find a case that they thought was kind of legit, and then they wouldn't exploit it because the people, it was legit, and they wouldn't agree to be faking it and exacerbating and exaggerating what was really happening, and so they just moved on to the next.
Yeah, I don't buy. To be honest, there's very little about the Warrens I buy.
Agreed.
Very little.
The more I do, like I've always had a feeling. It started with my mom telling me she had a feeling that she thought they were full of crap, and then it just evolved into this as an adult. So.
Yeah, but yeah, no, 100%. Like all I would like to know is like if those artifacts are legit, why is there nothing to back any of them up? If they are cases, is there no documentation about what each, where they gathered these artifacts from, the names of the families or the people who own them they gathered from, what they could and couldn't do, some of the examples, like it's clearly just, because that actually would be work. That would be taking it quite responsibly. You're like,
yes.
you're then, because this is a big claim that the Warrens do, is that it's supposed to be a museum. It's supposed to be, this is what Tony says anyway, evidence. You're compiling evidence. You're putting forward a case study for people to examine and study the paranormal. Well, how are you going to study anything if we don't know the backstory to any of this? If there's no evidence, if there's no one to corroborate exactly what these eyes are supposed to do, then and this is what I made a video on when Overnight went there, and at the Warrens Museum, and I kind of hardly spoke about Overnight at all. It just pretty much all went on Tony. And that's pretty much the thing I've got. It's like he says, this is evidence of the paranormal. I said, unless you can back up the claims, stop using the word evidence when you don't know what it means. All you have is evidence that you've got a room full of junk.
Yes.
It's not evidence if you can't prove that things do what you claim they can do.
And I've noticed a lot, he'll say, I have the evidence, and then he'll change the subject or move on to the next subject, or, he never, ever provides any evidence.
It's full of in the video I watched of him, he was saying the Annabelle doll had real, he said there was a couple of ladies that came to them to do a private tour, which again, in itself is crazy that he's doing private tours with people, when it's supposed to be so incredibly dangerous, but the guy doesn't say no to money. And he claimed that the girls took photos of Annabelle, and behind the button eyes of the Raggedy Ann doll were real demon-like eyes. And he said like they were looking in one direction and they were looking in another in the different photos. Doesn't show the photos. Never seen.
Yeah.
They're not.
Never.
They're nowhere to be found. Why say that? Why give us that story if there's literally nothing to back it up with? And he's there going, it's real. It's real. He's saying it's real. Like, prove it.
Yep. Yeah, when
if you can show us that, prove it. The amount of people that have looked at that doll has been on film. No one's ever seen anything like that.
Yep. And if you're so intent on proving and having people take you seriously, why would you not share that evidence?
Exactly.
Yeah, he drives me really crazy. He likes to point out things a lot that he says is true, and he's so matter of fact, and that gets on my nerves so bad. Like, this is this and this is that and this is a demonically possessed. Like, how do you know? Who told you? Like, no one knows that for sure for any case, or like.
Yeah, I often wonder, because he was saying that Lorraine was a psychic and Ed is a demonologist, but he doesn't claim to be any of those things. He's just the caretaker.
Sometimes he does claim to be psychic. He has. I have seen him on videos.
Oh, I've not heard of that. Okay.
Yeah, I just recently watched a video where he said he was a psychic investigator, and I was like, what? And then I also got someone showed me Ed Warren had business cards saying he was a criminal investigator. Yeah.
Oh, whatever sticks.
Yep,
That's it.
they
Just
tried everything.
throwing mud on the wall, hoping something that sticks.
Yes. And another thing that I learned that really bothered me, they have this. So if they're supposed to be legitimate people doing legitimate things, why did they change their name? Their name is not Warren. Their name is Miney.
Oh, I didn't
And
know that.
Ed's name,
Okay, that's
Ed's name,
interesting.
yeah, and Ed's first name is Warren. It's Warren Miney and then Lorraine Miney. And then their stage names are Lorraine and Ed Warren. And like
Right.
everything he ever signed, or like all like his paperwork and stuff that he signs, and his paintings, they're all signed Warren. And no one ever talks about that, and it's really weird to me, because I learned about that because when I was searching their ancestry and stuff and getting their information for their episode where I covered their personal histories and everything, that's when I found out their names. And I also found newspaper articles where Ed was accused of assault when he was 17 with the name Warren Miney.
Huh. No, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, their whole thing, their whole story, their whole everything is so, from the beginning, just interesting and sketchy and weird.
I'm sure you've also heard about, I'm not sure if this is fact or if this is allegations or alleged, but about Ed's affair.
Yes, I know a lot about that one, actually. I
So
plan to
I
do
don't
an
know how
episode on
true
it.
that, right. Is it true?
So,
Or is it
I personally believe, yes, it happened. But on the flip side of that, I do not believe the woman feels she is a victim. She does not.
No, that's what I understand. Yeah, because she was with him for a
Yeah.
very long time, right?
Yes, and she
Like
has
so
a
if I understand, she got with him when she was very, very young. He was
Yes, the
older and
rumor
she was
is,
young, but she
yeah,
stayed with him for a long time. But then they argue in there is that was he grooming her and she just stayed with him because she
exactly.
was groomed.
Yes, she was supposed to have been 15. They met on a bus he drove, and he was supposed to have been 35, and then I guess he
Oh,
moved
wow.
her in right away and told family. Like, I even had someone confirm this recently. There was a rumor that he was telling people she was a cousin or a niece, and I had someone comment on that group that I'm trying to, like, get information from, if anybody has any memories or experiences, and someone said they remember going to the Warrens Museum and speaking to their niece Penny, and that's her last name. And then she's confirmed herself that she lived in that apartment for 40 years. There's an apartment above the garage. And she's also got a public Facebook page that she posts tons and tons of photos of her and Ed and memories, and says how much she loves him and misses him. And she's very much not a victim in her own eyes.
Yeah, even to this day. Yeah, okay. Because Lorraine was aware of it, wasn't she?
Yes, that's also the rumor too. And there are pictures of Judy and Lorraine on Judy's Facebook page from when she was 19. She says that she's 19 and they're sitting on Lorraine's father's lap. It's very interesting. It's very I've talked to several people. I have several people that have come to me and asked to remain either anonymous or completely off the record and just wanted to share. One of them said I was on the right track. Someone told me I needed to trust my gut. Whatever I felt was true was probably true. So it's been interesting.
There you go. Okay.
But actually, I think I'm out of questions for you. I did want to give you a chance to talk about your show anymore. Tell us where we can find you.
Well, we could talk about maybe some like non-Warren stuff.
Oh yeah, let's do that too. What are you working on right now? Like, oh yeah, we did talk about the reason I found you was because of the Sam and Colby and Seth
Sam
video.
And Colby, yes.
Yeah, and Kristen. So what are you working on now after you did your interview with Kristen?
Yeah, so that now I'd like to think the Sam and Colby thing is done from as far as my involvement there. Anyway, I unless I think I mentioned this in the last video. Unless something really big comes up, I don't really want to do another video on it.
Yeah.
So what I do for my members and patrons is that I put 3 channels that I'd like to react to up, and then they get the final say on who I react to that week. So the next channel I'm reacting to or going to debunk is Project Fear.
Oh, nice. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so the last one was Ghost Adventures.
I saw that. That was
Zach
good.
Bangans. Yeah, thank you. That was a lot of fun actually.
I bet.
So Project Fear is the next one, which I've never watched before. I've seen Ghost Adventures many times, but I've never. This was the first time I watched Project Fear, and I never watched Destination Fear either. So I just never seen those group of people on a ghost hunt before. So yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Oh, nice. I'm excited for that. I've never watched those shows either, but because of your show, I've been looking into more of them just so I can see like what's out there. Because I've been so engrossed in my Warrens research, I've missed out on everything that's current. And then that's when I got sent your Sam and Colby video, and I was like, oh wow, what is going on in the paranormal world?
Yeah. To be fair, that one did happen a while ago, but yeah, with that whole Sam and Colby, with my involvement with the Sam and Colby fiasco, a lot of people criticized me and the source, and even Kristen,
Yeah.
the source who leaked the video to me, and Kristen as well, who I did end up doing the interview with. They kind of like just accused all of us for jumping on a bandwagon with the timing of Sam and Colby's more recent Conjuring House
Yes.
videos. So there was a lot of controversy around there, and with Cody and Satori, and I'm not sure if you've seen that, if you know how much you know about them too, but they ended up doing like a little photo shoot where they were kind of mimicking the Warrens.
Really?
In a little photo.
Wow.
Yeah, they're dressed like, she dresses Lorraine, he's dressed as Ed, and they're dressed in like kind of like almost like a 70s attire with 70s kind of like recording equipment, and I don't know, it's a bit cringy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's a bit like that's clearly what they're going for here, and it's
Yeah. It is
I don't know, if you want
strictly
to be taken
entertainment.
legitimate, really, really legitimate, maybe don't emulate the Warrens. But
Seriously, that seems so wrong.
but they're not. I mean, I don't know. This is the thing. This is the interesting thing about Cody Satori. There's been a lot of speculation, which if I was a betting man, I would very much put my money on them being fake. But they
Yeah.
haven't been debunked, because now the only group that had the opportunity to debunk them was Sam and Colby, which, well, let's just say aren't the sharpest knives in the box. So
Yeah.
like the Shape did a video on this where he debunked their debunk, like sort of saying like this is not legitimate at all. And I won't go into all that now because it's a lot of explaining to do. If anyone's interested, go find the Shape's video on that. And Beardo Gets Scared has done a whole bunch of like really, really good videos on the Sam Colby and Kobe Satori thing. And there's also a really good channel called The Debunker. He just goes by The Debunker, and he's done some really good deep dives into this as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's only just started, this guy. He's only got a few videos out, but he does some really good stuff. But yeah, it's fishy. Let's put it that way. It's very fishy.
I agree completely. And I watched some of your videos on Cody and Satori, and that was really interesting, some of the stuff you pointed out. And recently, I was a little frustrated with Andrea Perrin because she is now promoting Sam and Colby's Conjuring thing, of course, because it's her house. But someone reached out to me also recently to tell me that a bunch of inside things about Andrea Perrin and the farm and stuff too. So I'll be doing a part 2 on that episode as well. Because I got to interview Andrea Perrin, and this was in the beginning stages of my show, and I was very, very fangirl moment having, like I was so shocked that she even agreed, and I was, giddy, and I believed her, and I thought her story was real because I'd read her books, and she agreed to talk to me, and she sounded so genuine. And then all this stuff that's coming out and all this stuff that's being debunked, and I'm my eyes are opening, and then the fact that she is now promoting them really just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, I think Sam and Colby are entertaining at what they do. They are entertainers.
Yes,
I think
definitely.
If anyone nobody should be taking them too seriously when it comes to paranormal investigations. They are there to make money, but they're there to entertain. They're there to be showmen, they're not really there. They are not the guys to go to for answers if you're really actually looking for answers in.
Yes, agreed.
Which is even the people that are legitimate to find answers, it's a minefield. It's so slow. And like, put it this way, my sort of feeling in general since starting this channel, because a lot of people, when they think of the debunking community, they think that it's debunkers versus ghost hunters and paranormal investigators, and it's actually not the case whatsoever. The channels that don't get the crazy high views, that are actually doing paranormal investigations and trying to find answers into one of the biggest questions that we have as a human race, I suppose, is there an afterlife? Is there such a thing as spirits? What happens when we die?
Mhm.
Those guys are out there trying to find it, and they don't. There's no theatrics. They use very little. Like, they don't use the nonsense stuff like the apps. And very
Yes.
few of the overly, like, they've been completely debunked. A lot of the equipment has been completely debunked. They go there as bare bones they can, and guess what? Very little to nothing happens.
Yes,
Very rarely
exactly.
does anything ever happen.
Yep.
So when you get any of these big channels like Sam and Colby, like Twin Paranormal, Yasko, oh my gosh, etc., where they go to these places and it doesn't stop. They literally say things like, "Oh, we
Yep.
walk through the door and instantly there's activity, there's
Yep.
scratches, there's banging, there's shadow figures, there's all this," and you got to kind of look at that and go, well, like, whether it be Joe Vitale or PSI or Ouija Brothers, a lot of there's a lot of channels out there that are known for not faking this stuff, and they go to these places and little to nothing happens.
Yep. And a lot of really genuine investigators and ghost hunters will tell you that, like, you might not
Yes.
get anything for, nights at a time, and then suddenly you'll get one tiny little thing, and
Yep, you might
that's
get
the
one
norm.
EVP, one footstep, one bang. You might
Yep.
see a shadow. You can't tell what it is. But these people are actually very much like to work side by side with the debunkers. They actually
Yeah.
they see us as allies.
Yes, definitely.
And they get very frustrated because ultimately, when you get, say, Twin Paranormal, who are outright lying with their content, like, they are faking stuff. They've been debunked faking stuff time and time again. Not just me, lots of other channels as well. They exaggerate and they make false claims, whatever it might be. When they are getting all this crazy evidence, and then somebody else, even a not even necessarily a like a known paranormal investigation team, just some guys who want to go, hey, I live down the road from whatever this cabin is that's supposed to be haunted, let's go rent it out. And they go there and they get frustrated because they're
Mhm.
like, why are we not getting all this crazy
Yep.
evidence? Because it doesn't
It's not
work
how
like
it
that.
works. Yeah.
If there even is, and that's the thing, I don't believe there's by any means a concrete answer to yes, there are ghosts. I still have not found that evidence as maybe go 100% it is, and I may never find that. And I'm including that even as someone who believes who may have seen a ghost. Even I debunk myself. I
Yeah.
debunk what I believe I've seen all the time.
Yeah.
All the time I do it. So it's not like I'm picking on anyone else. I do this to myself, and I think everyone should be.
I
But
agree.
when, yeah, exactly, very much so. And when um, you don't get the answers that all these other big channels are sort of getting, it can leave you very frustrated.
Mhm. Yep. I agree. And then they turn to the people that are faking it, and they're like, well, they're getting it, and they're getting it every couple minutes it's popping off. And so it's frustrating that people think that's how it is, and they take that, and they don't accept that it's just not that way. They refuse to accept it.
Hmm. Oh yeah, God, that's one thing I've very much noticed in starting this channel is the I don't know, let's say in a nice way, the passion that people will go to defend some
for
of these
sure.
well, even when you could, I mean, I've had one where I've outright proven without a shadow of a doubt that they lie about, like Mindseed in particular is one where I show like they lie about this and lie about that, and then people going making all the excuses they can and completely like leaving them with no accountability whatsoever. And in the case, I won't go into the whole Mindseed thing, but in case of the person who I would consider like a victim in the whole thing, or at least someone who's kind of like had been left with the repercussions of what Mindseed did, that she was blamed for their actions.
Oh
and
no.
I was even and I was blamed very much so for telling her what happened. Like their exact attitude is she should stay ignorant. On the matter with the Mindseed thing, because God forbid Mindseed's video gets debunked. It's crazy, really. It's crazy. But in saying that, we in the debunking community and in like the paranormal investigations or community, we are noticing that more and more people are seem to be coming around to our way of thinking. And this is the thing as well, what I think is another falsehood, where people assume that people like me or Beardo get scared, or Mr. Grey, World of Mr. Grey, they believe that we're all just non-believers. We don't believe in it whatsoever. And like a lot of us don't actually think that way. We're skeptical, but being skeptical is very different to being a non-believer, at least as far as I'm concerned.
And you're being
because, as I said earlier, I believe
doing it.
That's it. Well, I believe I saw something when I was a kid, and that stays with you. So when that sort of thing happens, you want to see evidence, you want to see answers, you don't want the fake shenanigans going on. You want to see something that's actually legitimate.
Yeah, you need confirmation.
And that's the thing, like so it kind of makes a mockery of the whole thing when you get Ghost Adventures or whoever it is, and like people who are getting possessed every episode, just these wild things happening, which I got to admit is entertaining. Even I will admit is entertaining. It's funny, like but as long as but as long as you're aware, this should be mocked, and it's entertaining in that kind of way. Not, oh, this is legitimate, this is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In your video where you were talking about Zach Baggins and his show, and how you said it felt like every 2 minutes something was happening. And I recently had a guest who confirmed for me they pitched their ghost hunting team to a company to do a show, a producer. And they came back with and told them, look, you have to have some sort of action every 3 minutes or we can't sign you.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I will say is, like, that's the difference between I mentioned this in that video I made. There's a big difference with pace and tone and almost everything, to be honest with you, between a television ghost hunting show and a YouTube ghost hunting show.
Yes.
So say the Paranormal Files, like their videos will go on for 3 hours. It's like ridiculous. Sometimes some of the videos go on for 4 hours. They're crazy long, the Paranormal Files. Now, they can have long moments of silence, and they try to, whether they're succeeding or not, that's up to the viewer, I suppose. But what they're trying to do is like build tension and unease and suspense, and they're trying to, but because let's say Ghost Adventures, for instance, it's got to squeeze into 42, 43 minutes. It's bang, 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 bang. And like some of the things they said, like what, and the one I said, that they were trying to say that they had a ghost in the background of the thermal cam. Now that would be, I mean, it's nonsense, but like that, if they really do believe that's a ghost, that should be the whole episode. Like you have found a ghost. You have found the thing that the holy grail of paranormal investigation. You found a full-bodied apparition. And it goes on for 3 minutes, and they got to go on to the next thing.
Yeah, and you can't think about that further. You can't address it further. You can't, you can't do anything
except.
Yeah.
They don't try and debunk it. They don't offer any other explanation what it could have been. They don't say where all the other members of their team were during that. Like, that should be a deep dive, just that one image alone, and it's glossed over pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it could have been taken more seriously as well if they just paid attention to the main thing that they caught.
Yeah, but that is just TV in general when it comes to these things. It's very, I mean, especially like the Discovery Channel or the Travel Channel, they know that they know it is out and out entertainment, and that's very much all that they're interested in.
Yep,
is just to
I agree.
entertain.
Yep. So Tony Spera has apparently an entertainment company. It's called TCD Entertainment. And to me, if you are running a business that's supposed to be, you know, educating, like he said, educating people on the paranormal, it wouldn't have the word entertainment in it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be education. Yeah. He says that repeatedly.
Yeah. So I was asked recently, what's my end goal? Like, what would I ideally like to happen? With with the channel going forward, like, what would I ideally like to come of this? And I think a big part of it is like, for all of the entertainment type ghost hunting YouTube channels to put entertainment in the description and the about section, and maybe even at the very beginning, like a disclaimer at the beginning of the videos, to clearly state it's entertainment. And if it's entertainment, this is the argument I keep making. Like, let's just take Mindseed, for instance. I actually like Mindseed because I know it's nonsense. But if Mindseed at the beginning of each of their videos had a disclaimer saying this is for entertainment purpose only, it doesn't then have to be kept confined within the realms of reality. Excuse me. It can then be like, hey, you could get chased by a demon. You could conjure up whatever you want. You can experience portals. You can be hunted by a witch. You could make every episode like the Blair Witch Project in that kind of shaky cam kind of way. You could have an ongoing storyline where all these things keep happening to each episode could be like a movie, because they are genuinely good filmmakers. They're very talented filmmakers.
Agreed.
And they know how to build suspense so well. So if they just dropped the whole this is real, and a lot of the other funny thing about Mindseed is a lot of people come to me and sort of say, oh, why are you even bothering Mindseed? They say they're entertainment. It's like, no, they don't, but people assume they do.
Wow. Yeah.
So like a lot of people, so if you go into the Mindseed about section or in their videos, they don't say it. I think the thing is, I can't prove it because I think they would have deleted it. So many people came to me saying that, and then I asked every one of them, including other debunkers, came to me and said, that they do say they're entertainment. I was like, find me where they say that. They can't find it.
Wow.
Because I think a while back they did state it, and then they have pretty much tried their best to retract it.
Yeah.
Because the very first Mindseed video I did before I got into like the whole saga with the Airbnbs, Casey Noland, who's the main guy in Mindseed, he says, looking right at the camera, and he addresses debunkers, and he says, you debunkers are not here when this is happening. You can try and disprove it, but until you're here, you can't say anything, kind of thing. Like, well, if you are entertainment, why are you challenging debunkers? Why are you talking to debunkers? Debunkers wouldn't comment on your channel other than saying it's good if you were legitimately entertainment.
Exactly.
Or if you stated your entertainment, should I say?
No, you're good. Yeah, no, I agree completely. And if they did state that they were entertainment, we wouldn't get so being an enthusiast for the paranormal, people send me videos all the time where to me, it's clearly a fake. It's clearly someone fooling around or trying to make it look real. And I'll tell the person who sent me that, no, that's not real. And this is why. And they're like, oh, I thought it was real. I had to show you because I thought it was real. And if they would just watch it as entertainment, they wouldn't be so quick to be afraid of it. to show a person that is, you know, would be afraid of it too, to spread it, because that's the problem. They're spreading it, and the people that aren't understanding it's fake are perpetuating that it's not fake, and that's where it gets frustrating for me.
Me too. Yeah, I completely agree. What I will say, if I can put in like a quick shameless plug, because just earlier we were talking about the Conjuring House. Is in March next year, I will be going to the Conjuring House. I'm going to be taking a trip to America. Yeah, so we'll be going to the Conjuring House with, and I'll be going with Entity 7 Paranormal, Joe Vitale. So he has his own channel.
Okay.
Don't type in just Joe Vitale because it comes up with some senator in some state, some politician. So you have to unfortunately type in Entity 7 Paranormal Joe Vitale, and also Weeping Willow Paranormal. They're going to be joining us as well.
That's awesome.
And yeah, we're going to have a little look around. Mainly because the big reason I want to do that is I've had a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you talk big behind your screen, but go to the Conjuring House and sit in the basement alone, and we'll see. You know, we'll see how tough you are." And I'm like, I will 100% do that.
Agreed.
I'll sit down in that basement. I'll do a live stream from down in that basement, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
I am so excited for you, and I cannot wait to see that. That's going to be great.
I'm so
very excited for you. Yeah, I can't wait to see how that goes.
Hopefully, as well, I think there's a very good chance this will happen. I got the invitation, so I'm just trying to work out dates while I'm in America. But hopefully, she'll be going to the Bel Air house as well, because Kristen.
Oh, very good. Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, great! I am so excited for you. I cannot wait for this to come out.
Yeah, very exciting. But yeah, so it'll be. So I'm taking a trip over to the States in March.
Very good. I hope you enjoy that. I can't wait to hear about how it goes.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I want to try to. I'm trying to gather some friends to go up there and experience it, because I'm the same. I will definitely go. I would touch Annabelle. I understood Seth being even though he's being disrespectful, I still would have been wanting to touch her too. So I want to
see. That's the thing. I don't really know how Seth did it, I suppose, but so I don't know. Like, I haven't watched the video, so I don't know how he's gone about trying to touch that Annabelle doll. But all said and done, I would love to get hold of that doll and drop kick it, which I know is obviously very disrespectful, but because it's someone else's property. After the whole Sam and Colby thing, I won't actually be doing it, everyone. I just want to make that abundantly clear. I'm just saying it's something I would like to do given the reputation.
I understand. Yes. Yes, I talked about Seth, and
I probably should have said that at the very beginning of this podcast.
No, I understand completely, because I even said in my last episode that I thought, I think Seth is disrespectful and stuff based on my knowledge from your videos, and then seeing that one and how he was acting, I just automatically picked up on the disrespect, but I understood why he wanted to touch her. I definitely would do the same. Like, I commiserated with that whole idea. Like, I definitely want to go in there, snatch her out.
If you are in someone else's, property, you got to abide by the rules that they set, which is actually quite wild that he tried to do that, given everything that just, if he filmed that before my video on the Bel Air house, that's actually quite amazing if he tried to do that, given the context of everything. If he filmed it before it, I can sort of, maybe I can understand it, but if he filmed it afterwards, that's wild.
Yeah, I think he did it before, but I'll have to go and check. I'll send you the link. But yeah, he didn't. So it was weird. They were talking and they were trying to be serious for, their footage. And then there's a short clip where you can hear Tony yelling at Seth not to touch the doll. And one of the other people say, yeah, he's been trying to touch it. And then Seth looks down at the camera and he's like, yeah, I've tried to touch it like 10 times now.
Right. Okay.
So yeah,
I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted on it because you've got to abide by the wishes and respect the owners of that place, but at the same time, I would love to drop kick that doll. I want to, disrespect it. If ever I go there, I'll just like insult it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, I've got a story for you then. Before I let you go, a little fun story about someone who did get to take Annabelle in their possession for a brief moment alone.
Okay.
The woman who wrote the article, the very first article about her in the 70s, She said she was a neutral party and was just hired to write the story. And she asked the Warrens and the doll owners, can I take the doll with me to the news studio so I can take photos of it? And they were like, yeah, go ahead. So she takes it and she says, I put it in the backseat of my car. And she said, I looked back there at it and it was staring at me. And then she doesn't say much else. And then she completely changes the subject. So absolutely nothing happened to her with the doll in her possession. She just thought it was a little creepy.
This is the thing as well. Like, I would say, I'm not going to say that people in the 70s were dumber by any stretch, but obviously without the fountain of knowledge we have at our fingertips with the internet, if someone gives you this tool set and they just say, trust me, this is the story, how it happened, and you've got no, I suppose she was a reporter, so she does have a means to try and like confirm that the stories are true or not, but it'd be a lot harder, of course, than what we're able to do now. You just kind of believe it, I think. And so you're obviously more susceptible. This is it. When you believe something, things that aren't there, this is just human psychology. This is what we do. This is why a lot of my debunking, I try and like gauge into just human psychology. We think things are there when they're not, because we want them to be there. And that's when I say I debunked myself with the ghost story that I had way back when, that's what I keep coming back to, is that I wanted to see something there and I did.
Yeah. Okay. Would you mind sharing that story?
Yeah. So it was when I was like 12, we went to so me, my mum, my brother, and my dad all watched a show. There was a show in England called Strange But True, and it was like little ghost stories, 2 ghost stories in a 30-minute episode. And one of them was there's supposed to be hauntings, these ghosts in the underground tunnels of Dover Castle. And the more recent history of this like medieval castle is in World War II, it became an underground hospital. So there's been a lot of death, a lot of suffering there. And in the episode, it says that there is a man dressed in World War II attire that roams the tunnels like a ghost. And so we went there. My dad doesn't believe in it at all, but he just wanted to go for the history. Me, my mum, and my brother wanted to go see the ghost. So keep that in mind. That's very important that we actually went to there to see the ghost. Now, aesthetically, the look of these tunnels are every bit as cliche creepy as you could imagine medieval tunnels to be. It's just dank and gloomy and gross, but awesome at the same time. It's a very unique place to go visit. But the thing that kind of makes me, which I can't answer, is to this day, my brother would have been 10, I would have been about 12. My brother was like 8, 9 or 10, I can't remember. I was around 11 or 12. And my mum was obviously an adult. And we all say to this day, we all look down the tunnel, and this very, very, very long tunnel. And bear in mind, these are guided tours, so you're not allowed to go down these tunnels. Like to go visit this, it's a historical preserved site. So you can't just roam around the tunnels as you will. You have to go on a guided tour. But down one of these tunnels, all 3 of us, my dad wasn't with us, but he was the head of the tour. So the 3 of us still to this day remember we saw a man dressed in World War II attire walking out of one of the rooms or wards and straight through the wall of the tunnel.
Oh, wow.
So I always kind of wrestle with myself it was a full-bodied apparition. And to this day, I still kind of wrestle with, like, we were, are we just feeding off each other's kind of like, interpretation of what happened? Memory is not very good, especially distant memory like that. I could have created a sort of fantasy what happens, and this is how I remember it. I don't know. There's a lot going on there that I always kind of question. I saw what I saw, but the thing that always comes back to with me is, to this day, the 3 of us all believe we saw the same thing.
Yeah, that's pretty compelling that all 3 of you saw it.
At the same time, yeah. But what was also funny
and the
about
fact
it,
that
even though me and my brother were kids, none of us screams like your average twin paranormal video.
Yeah. Yeah. I
We
in
just
the
kind of
times
got on
I've
with it quite
experienced,
calmly, and we talked about it in the gift shop.
I love it. That's great. Yeah. The experiences I've had, I kind of freeze for a minute. I take it in and I'm like, oh shit, did that just happen? And then I move on.
Yeah, it's like you need a bit of time to. And also, what I feel sometimes with these sort of things, even as a kid, it's like if I just scream about this and start going on about this, people are just going to think I'm looking for attention or talking absolute rubbish and lying. But you kind of feel like you don't want to talk about it because you're worried that people are just going, what people are going to say straight away. I don't know, but
No, I
I don't
get
know.
that.
Well,
I tend to.
yeah, it's very, I don't know. Ghost sightings in general have always kind of been a good ghost story has always interested me. Ghost sightings with people like in my channel, I always ask people like in the comments, like give me that they say they had like a ghost story, and I always ask them like, what is it, what happens, and I don't know. I always find them interesting. I'm not there to debunk them. I just like to hear them. I just like to hear
Yeah,
them for what
same.
they are.
I agree. I like hearing the stories, and I have people on my show that share their stories and stuff. And I don't ever want anyone to feel like I'm there to debunk or tell them they're wrong or tell them, this is why they're wrong, because I'm only doing that with the Warren stuff because I'm frustrated with what I can find that is fake and not true. So when people come to me with their stories, I'm trusting them and I'm taking it in as their truth. And I don't want to make them feel, because I wouldn't want to tell a story and someone say, oh, that's, you're full of shit. I don't believe you. Because it makes you not want to tell the story.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that you shared that story with me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have anything else you'd like to share before we go ahead and wrap it up?
Please check out my YouTube channel as the SideEye Guy.
Yes, I will link all of your stuff.
Oh, thank you very much. While you're at it, there's other YouTube channels. Other debunking channels. Beardo Gets Scared, World of Mr. Grey, The Shape, Parrple with 2 R's, Parrple. They're all great. So there's another one called Wacky Paranormal. We all have our very unique kind of like ways of tackling debunking. A lot of us, I've never been on a paranormal investigation before, but a lot of those guys do go on paranormal investigations. My first one, as I said earlier, will be in March. But a lot of these guys do go on ghost hunts as well and paranormal investigations. So you can check them out. Just go have a look at their channel, subscribe to them. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure. I will make sure I link all of those in the show notes too, so people who hear my show can get to them easily.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, SideEye Guy, for coming on my show. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
That was seriously so much fun, and I cannot thank SideEye Guy enough for coming on my show and having this chat with me. And just a quick reminder, just because we discussed how fun it would be to dropkick the Annabelle doll doesn't mean we'd actually do it. But I think it was made very clear that given the proper opportunity, we both would very much like to kick that doll into oblivion, never to be seen or heard from again. Thanks again for joining me for this super fun interview with SideEye Guy. Be sure and check out his channel and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the links in the show notes for other awesome shows too. Thank you again, SideEye Guy. Until next time.